FM 102.3. It is a beautiful Saturday, August 28th, 2021. We are excited to be here, and we are live on Facebook with Dr. Tanisha Richmond right here, live and in color in the studio with us. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
And how are you, Dr. Tanisha Richmond?
I am blessed and highly favored, breathing on my own, and nobody in my family's gotten sick, and I'm doing well, and I'm just blessed. Happy to be alive.
You know, you've got this spark about you this morning. What is it? Can you share that with us?
Just happy to be alive. Really, just happy that, I've made it, a year and a half into this pandemic. My business has never closed. I haven't lost any family members, close family or anything. My practice is doing well. I really don't have any complaints. Well, I wanted to go home a couple weeks ago, and my family told me I couldn't come to Louisiana.
They said absolutely not, huh?
No. But my father is he runs his own funeral home, so I listen to him. And my mother's a nurse. Actually, they have a couple funerals today for COVID people. So, that's the only sad part.
Yeah.
I can't go home. And we have a hurricane coming, that too. But they may be coming to me, so we'll see.
Oh, fingers crossed, right? Well, they're only looking out for your best interests. And, of course, there's a lot to be said with the times that we are living in right now. And those that we know and love that have experienced COVID, they've survived. And, unfortunately, there have been a few that haven't. We are grateful for those that have fought through it and have made their way back to health and recovery.
Yes.
And our thoughts and prayers are with the families that have lost loved ones, and certainly those that have survived it. We are encouraged by your strength.
Oh, yeah. It's, they said this will switch eventually to an endemic. It will no longer be a pandemic. It will be part of our lives, just like the flu shot. So I'll just be glad when we get to that point where we got our routines down and procedures, and, it starts to calm down and become just, our new normal.
And what's the new normal for you, Dr. Richmond, in your offices these days? And we want to remind everybody that you are inside of the Dr. Charles R. Drew Health Center, which is, of course, just down the street from the WDA0102.3 studios. And share with us your address, phone number, website, email address, in case we have some individuals that may want to send a shout out to you, but also share with us your channels, because you are Facebook Live as well.
Yes, I'm on Richmond Foot and Ankle Clinic live on Facebook now. My phone number is 937-228-3668. Website is richfeet.org. Email, if you need to email me, is richfeet1@gmail.com. And if you're an existing patient, you can schedule online through the website at richfeet.org. I think it's schedule an appointment or request an appointment tab. As far as the practice right now, we are wearing masks. Actually, we're giving out masks to patients right now. So we have masks available on paper if you do not have a mask, and then also we have masks available with my logo on them for patients if you do not have a mask. So something new that we just started with my practice is we just restarted the Diabetic Shoe program in my practice. So pretty much all patients can get one pair of shoes a year with 2 pairs of inserts. So patients always ask, what is a diabetic shoe? So a diabetic shoe is a shoe that's approved through Medicare that protects the diabetic foot. So diabetic shoes are wider, they're deeper, they have no seams on the inside, they have a thicker sole, so if you were to step on a nail or tack, it wouldn't pierce the skin. So most insurances pay for 1 pair a year. To get a diabetic shoe, you have to be actively being treated by a primary care physician for diabetes. You have to be seen by a podiatrist for a diabetic foot exam or podorthus. And in our office now, when diabetics come in, we gone ahead and let you pick out your shoe style. We currently have shoes in the lobby that you can look at. We have catalogs available that you can look at. And the medical assistants will measure your feet, get your shoe size, and then I do the diabetic foot exam, documenting reasons why you can get diabetic shoes. So the main reasons are foot deformity. So if you have hammer toes, bunions, any kind of lumps and bumps on your feet that were rubbing your shoes, those are called foot deformities. If you have calluses on your feet, it's a reason. If you have neuropathy, which is numbness, tingling, burning in your feet, that's a reason. If you've been told you have PAD or PVD, which is poor blood flow, that is also a reason. If your feet are turning colors, if you feel on the bottom of your foot and it feels like you don't have any more padding, like if you rub across your ball of your foot and you can feel bone, that's what's called a loss of your fat pad. So that's called fat pad atrophy. That's another reason. So there's multiple reasons why you may qualify for diabetic shoes. But if you have any questions about that, the best thing to do is to call the office at 937-228-3668 and schedule an appointment so you can be evaluated. We can look at your insurances and let you know if you qualify for one pair a year for shoes. Another thing I've been seeing a lot of in the office lately has been diabetic ulcers. So a diabetic ulcer can start as a blister. So say you're diabetic, you go to the mall or you go to Walmart or somewhere and you walk a lot and you get blisters on your feet. Those blisters can turn into ulcers. So an ulcer is a break in the skin, and usually they're circular. Usually they're on pressure points on the bottom of your feet. So usually they're on under your med heads or the sole of your foot. But wherever you have chronic pressure, that's where you can get an ulcer. And then also if you have calluses. So if you get calluses real bad as a diabetic and you let them get too thick, the callus can break down the skin underneath. And actually this week I had a patient with rheumatoid arthritis and his feet were severely deformed. He had a callus that was probably about half an inch thick on the bottom of his foot. And he had an ulcer underneath that callus, which was unusual, but because the callus had gotten so thick, he had missed a couple appointments, and once I debrided the callus down, there was an ulcer underneath. So in a diabetic, any kind of holes, breaks in your skin, that's an issue. And you need to be seen by your primary care physician or your podiatrist as soon as possible, because as in a diabetic, any kind of breaks in the skin is an increased chance for infection. Because in a diabetic, if your sugars are high, the part of your body that fights infection doesn't work as well. And then also if your sugars are high, your blood vessels may not bring the blood down to your foot as well either. So that doesn't bring in the cells that can heal the wound, the blood, everything that can help heal the wound may be decreased because of your diabetes. So I see patients all the time where like their dog scratched them, their cat scratched them, they scratched themselves, they hit their wheelchair, and I see a halo of redness and warmth around the wound. So I know immediately that wound is infected. They need to go on antibiotics. They need to get wound care. They need wound supplies. I need to see them back in a week and monitor them to make sure they don't get severely infected. And another thing I saw this week actually was from one of my neighbors. I was walking my Chihuahua, Ernie, and he went up to my neighbor. She likes to sit in my driveway and watch the cars go by. And I looked down and Ernie was licking her leg. she had venous stasis ulcers. And I told her to stop licking the leg, and she didn't think nothing of it. And that's another problem. If you have an open wound, wounds have to be covered. Air is not good for wounds because you have to think about everything that lives in our air. We have bacteria floating around, viruses floating around. So you want to keep that wound covered and cleaned. I always tell patients to clean their wounds with pump soap or any kind of soap that comes out of a container. Just get a fresh rag, or if you have gauze, and clean it with a fresh rag or towel, and then discard, wash it for later. But you want to wash that wound individually because the body has bacteria that automatically lives on the skin, but it's not supposed to go into the wound. And then we carry bacteria when we're just out and about, and things like that. And then also when you take a bath or a shower, you got to remember all the bacteria and fluid when you wash yourself goes to the bottom. So it's going to come down over that wound. So you want to clean it again separately so that wound doesn't get infected. And then the signs of infection are redness, pus, drainage, pain. Systemic signs of infection is nausea, vomiting, fever, diarrhea, or chills. So if you experience any of that, and especially if your leg is red, hot, or swollen, or if you see streaking, so if you see lines of redness going up your leg, that could be a sign of going what's called septic, which means the infection has gone into your blood, and that is a medical emergency. You need to get to me, urgent care, or ER to get on antibiotics. So nausea, vomiting, fever, diarrhea, or chills is not normal. And another thing is, if you go on antibiotics and you start to develop diarrhea, that is not normal either. So that means that the antibiotic may have affected your natural gut flora. So in our gut, we have natural bacteria that lives there. When we go on antibiotics, it throws off the balance of our gut. And sometimes bad bacteria can take over. And that's something called C. diff, which is a bad bacteria. So if you do start taking an antibiotic and you start to develop diarrhea, you need to stop, call your doctor, and let them know that you're getting diarrhea from your antibiotics.
So, you know how people say with antibiotics, I'm just, bless you, I'm going to go ahead and get on antibiotics because I know that always cures everything. Is it a point to where we should just allow our bodies to go through the process?
Depends. It depends on the infection, the level of infection. I know I have a lot of wound patients. They'll come in with no signs of infection wanting antibiotics. So the thing about taking too many antibiotics is we create superbugs, which is like MRSA, VRE. So these are bacteria that cannot be killed. I just read an article. There is a strain I think was found in Cincinnati recently. It was a fungus that they couldn't kill it. And that happens because we keep giving antibiotics over and over and over again. So like the virus keeps mutating and it keeps bringing up variants. Same thing happens with bacteria. So what happens is, say you have a petri dish of 50 million bacteria and you give it an antibiotic. Say 1,000 survive, but they are now resistant to that antibiotic. So when that 1,000 goes to another life cycle, they're going to pass that resistance on to the next generation. So what happens is, and they pass it on very well, they just pass it on as they replicate, then the next generation is now resistant to that antibiotic. So then if you give them antibiotics again, then you'll kill a few more, and then the ones that are left are resistant. And it goes on and on and on to eventually when you'll give the bacteria an antibiotic and they're totally resistant.
Is that a time, Dr. Richmond, when the antibiotic just stops working?
Yes.
No effectiveness?
No, nothing. So that's when they start moving. So this is something where we can do what's called a culture and sensitivity. which I do for most wound patients, most like weird rashes or a lot of interdigital athlete's foot. I like the culture to see, because we want to see what's living there and we want to see what will kill it. So lots of times we'll start you on a global antibiotic that pretty much kills most things. And then
what are some of those antibiotics?
Like we do I like a lot of Bactrim, Augmentin, Cephalexin. But I'm mostly Bactrim because Bactrim kills MRSA, which is the big boy of bacteria. And MRSA's everywhere. So MRSA, because people always say, well, I went to the hospital and had MRSA. You probably already had it. But you're kind of dunked. When you go into a hospital setting, you are dunked into everything. Because you're in a facility that's full of infected people.
So should we wear our mask? And I know it's required, but as we enter a hospital,
well, you have to.
All parts of it? I mean, even on the elevators?
You should. I mean, you have to think about it. You're going, and especially if you're going anywhere near the COVID ward, you're going to war. I mean, it's everywhere. Everything you touch.
So
everything.
You could inhale things and touch things.
Well, you have to think you're going to a confined area of sick people. You're walking into a facility that houses sick people. So there's all kind of bacteria, fungus, yeast, everything is in one place, and you're walking into it. So you want to be protected. But now, pretty much all hospitals, all clinics, all healthcare facilities require masks. I think all nursing homes. I mean, I equate. When I talk to the patients about the vaccine, I said, "Do you want to go to war by yourself, or do you want to go to war with an army?" And that's what the vaccine is. And I told a patient, I said, it's like you sitting at a bar, and you see your crazy cousin. That's all in purple, and you know that's your crazy cousin. But then a cousin with purple and polka dot walks in, but you don't know he's bad, but you know this cousin's bad. Well, that's the variant, the cousin with the purple with a little polka dot. But if you're vaccinated, you got an army that recognizes all of that, and they're like, oh, neither one of them are good. We gonna take them out. But if you're not vaccinated, it's just you against that virus. So that's why I equate the vaccine to. It's building an army in your immune system. So when that virus shows up, your immune system is ready. It's like, oh, let me call my posse. We ready. And then when the variant comes, they're like, you look familiar. We gonna take you out too.
Yeah. Interesting. We've got a caller that does not want to go on the air, but is listening and saying, Dr. Richmond, you are coming through very loud and very clear, but I do have a couple of questions about COVID, particularly the vaccine. What are your thoughts on it and the latest developments of the approved of Pfizer, it seems like from FDA? The
booster?
Yes.
I've had it. I had the booster already. I've taken all 3 shots. And
what was that experience like?
My arm just hurt for a couple days. I mean, my attitude towards all these vaccines is pretty much the same as, people seem to forget they've been taking vaccines their entire life. We've been taking vaccines since we were born.
This isn't new.
No, it's not new. And people also don't comprehend that this was a worldwide pandemic. So you have to understand that when this hit, the governments gave these companies blank checks to get this vaccine to market. So it wasn't like the companies had to struggle for supplies, for workers, for time, for money. They were able to work 24/7, 365 days to get these vaccines to market. They had unlimited money. So that's why they were able to get it to market so quickly. And then you have to understand that the polio vaccines and all these other vaccines didn't have the technology that existed now, like with the messenger RNA vaccines and things like that. That didn't exist probably 10 years ago. I think that came about during Ebola and SARS and MERS, but it wasn't a pandemic. So like I read articles where they put that technology to the side because Ebola only really affected Africa and a few countries. It came here and we cured it. I think we had 2-3 cases. So, but then when the pandemic hit, it was worldwide. So people are, going to Pfizer and giving them $3 billion. Fix it. So they were,
problem, fix it.
yeah, they were like, okay, well, what do you need? Well, I need $3 billion. It'll be in your account tomorrow.
Get it done.
Get it done. So that's why it's moved so fast, because it's a pandemic. It's not just United States or Mexico or China. It's the entire world attacking one force together, which we've never done in the history of the world. Is we came together as a world to say, okay, we're going to fight this. And, there's side effects with every drug. Every drug you take has a side effect. But the side effect of not taking this drug is death.
So the caller wants you to elaborate on the third shot or the booster. Can you take that with any of the 3 shots, I guess?
Well, they want you to take the same one. So I took Moderna. So my third booster was Moderna. But I think right now only Moderna is approved. I don't think Pfizer has been approved yet for the booster or Johnson & Johnson yet. But I would suggest because I think you can take it 8 months after the first dose, which is starting next month for people who started in January.
Is there any talk for those who still have not had the shot yet to get one shot that has all 3?
No, not yet. I mean, it's probably something coming down the pipeline, but not yet. Not that I know of.
So it looks like we have a caller. We're going to go to the lines and see if that caller is ready to speak with us. Good afternoon. Caller, are you there?
Hello, how are you doing?
We are great. How are you today?
Good.
Pretty good. Calling from the beautiful state of Texas. How are you doing, Dr. Richmond?
Oh, I am doing well. So who's calling in?
This is Dr. Johnson from a Goodreads Book Club.
Oh, okay.
Talking to you about the book of the month.
Okay, well, tell me about the book again.
The book that we'll be featuring will be While Justice Sleeps. And it's an awesome book. It has a legal secretary that's in there. Her name is Avery Keys. It has a justice. His name is, of course, Justice. And he's been sitting on the bench for a long time. I think he's been on the bench for at least...
Well, that was like 20 years or 20, 30 years.
And it's a real conspiracy. It has a lot of details, a lot of plots and twists.
And who was the author?
The author was Stacey Abrams.
Okay.
And it was a really compelling book. I really enjoyed it. It was a good read.
Yeah, I read it as well, and I did enjoy it, and I did enjoy that Avery King, was a strong character. She was African American and very intelligent, and she really she fought back through a lot of things throughout this book, and I thought it was very positive to see an African American female character, survive what she went through and come out with a positive outcome at the end of the book. I would suggest anyone that's follows Stacey Abrams to read this book. If you're into politics, to read this book, or actually has some twist on there with some tampering with viruses, which brings it current to today, and things that happen in the book. But I really enjoyed it. It kept me on my edge. It was a good thriller all the way to the end.
I think it was a good thriller. I liked how they had regular components and struggles. It shows that she was going through school. She went to an Ivy League school, but that basically she did still have hardship, and she persevered. I like that element of the story. But I like that she also had a photographic memory, and she was able to piece different things together, which you will see by reading the book how it all turns out. But she was an awesome character.
So when will we discuss the book through your book club?
Well, it happens at 6 o'clock Central Time and 7 o'clock Eastern Time. It will be for September the 12th. You can go to Facebook and we'll be streaming live. You can go to a Good Read Book Club. We're also looking for new books at all times, so any authors who would like to submit their books for review, you can go to www.bookclubpublishing.com. And we're also looking for chefs to have cooking experiences. So if you're a master chef out there, we're really looking for you to come on.
Okay, and what's your Instagram?
Instagram is a Good Read Book Club.
Okay, so everything's a Good Read Book Club.
LinkedIn is a Good Read Book Club. Everything is a Good Read Book Club. The website is www.bookclubpublishing.com.
Okay.
So we are a community for authors and chefs. And of course, avid readers.
Okay. All right. Well, make sure you put a link on my page and repost and all that good stuff.
I sure will. I can't wait to hear some of you guys comment.
Oh, yeah. It's a good book. I would tell anyone to read it. I went through it pretty quick, but I like to read. Well, on tape now. I like to listen.
It wasn't for Audible books. I wouldn't make it through the book.
Yeah, it was a good book. Well, thank you so much for calling in today. And again, what's the Facebook page again?
The Facebook page is the Good Read BCP, Book Club Publishing.
And Instagram?
Instagram is a Good Read BCP. Everything is BCP at the end.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for calling in, Dr. Johnson, and you stay safe down there in Texas.
Yes, and you stay safe up there in Ohio also. We're going to all wear our masks.
Yes, we are. And mine with my feet on them. Okay. You have a good day. Stay cool.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
And I'm sure Dr. Johnson has a mask with books on it, right?
Yes, she does. She has books too.
That's awesome. And speaking of mask wearing, although it has not been mandated by the state of Ohio, what's your thoughts and encouragement to people you know and love and your patients about mask wearing?
Start wearing masks again because people are getting sick even though they do have the vaccine. And some people have died that had the vaccine. So, like I said, it's just like going to war. You have to have your arm, your shield, your sword, whatever it takes to stay alive. And it's sad because people still believe it's not real, it's fake, and and unfortunately for me, I see the beginning and the end. So, I'm a physician, and then I call home. My brother's a mortician, and he was talking to me. He's like, I had to pick up 3 COVID bodies within 24 hours. And then, so it's real. But a lot of people, because you can't physically see it, don't believe. But I just equate it to going to war. You want to go empty-handed or you want to go protected. So I wear my mask. And it actually is kind of like, now it's kind of like a pacifier, a safety blanket. Your security blanket. You put your mask on, you feel.
Just never go without it.
Yeah. You find one. I just feel safer because you don't know. You don't know the person that's talking to you. You don't know the person who's walking past you. You don't know. And like I tell my patients, don't talk to strangers. But if you do, wear a mask.
That's the only prerequisite, right?
Yeah. So this is the new normal. People keep saying it's my right. I said, well, it's your right to pick out a casket. It's your right to get your will together. It's your right to get your final plans together. Because if you do not do this, that's what may happen. And my brother, he made a very snappy comment because he was talking to someone that was refusing to get vaccinated. He's like, well, I've never been in the hospital. He said, I've never been embalmed. I said, oh, I like that. But my brother's a mortician. And then he said another thing. You can take their needle or you're going to get his. So, but that's reality. But so many people have not it's like they're living in an alternate dimension of just straight denial. This is not real. This is made up. No, it's real. You should just see if you can go to the COVID ward and see what's going on.
What about those, Dr. Richmond, that are fully vaccinated and feel like they're free and they don't have to wear masks anymore, they don't have to cover up, and they don't have to, as you put it, go to battle anymore?
Well, now they're finding out that you're not completely protected. So, it's just another layer of protection. It's just like a cop. They wear a bulletproof vest. When you go to war, you see the soldiers. They're wearing bulletproof vests. They got on the helmets. They got all this. They got eye protection. They have this. So it's like, it's your choice. Mm-hmm. This is a free country. But as you can see, our freedom is we're going backwards. Like, I'm from New Orleans. They just canceled the game. They going to Dallas. The whole team is going to Dallas. They canceled the game for that and, the hurricane too. But I mean, now you can't, and you're going to lose your freedom because a lot of, like New Orleans, you can't go to the club, restaurant without proving you're vaccinated or recent tests. I think Chicago, LA, the whole state of California. So eventually you're going to lose your freedom from just not taking a vaccine, which we've been taking our whole lives. We've been taking vaccines. And now I just got an email from my insurance. It's time for my flu shot. So I said, oh, well.
It's that season for shots.
It's time for flu season. Mm-hmm. Flu season starting up. So I got to go get vaccinated from that. And then being in the healthcare setting, I see 30 patients a day. So that's 30 chances to get exposed. Plus, I'm around my staff. They're around everyone. So, you have to think realistically. It's like gambling or playing Russian roulette with a loaded gun. Maybe you might take out one bullet. But everything you do, you're decreasing your chances. And that's what I want to do. I don't want to be remembered, oh, she was a great doctor, but she refused that shot.
If she had only taken the shot.
If she had only taken a shot. I mean, I just heard of a couple, I think it was in Atlanta, husband and wife died, African-American, saying they wouldn't take it because of Tuskegee. And I'm like, dude, there ain't no black or white vaccines. When they pull that vaccine, they're grabbing a vial. They're pulling multiple doses out of that vial. It's not, they're giving out millions of doses a day. You think they have time to give out separate doses based on your race or religion? They're just trying to get us vaccinated.
A caller here mentioned they understand that people are in the realm of pro-choice and that some people have decided to take it and some have not. They want to know if you can elaborate on why you chose the particular vaccine you did and not the other, or was it an option, or did it matter?
It didn't matter. Because I took it in January. So I took it when they were giving it to healthcare. I just wanted whatever that would keep me safe. Because I'm self-employed. So if I go down, the practice shuts down. And I wasn't taking that risk. And then I have other health issues. I have diabetes. I have MS. So I was worried about, I'm high risk. So I took whatever. I didn't really have a preference.
Is there a different shot for those where their systems are compromised for the third shot?
No. They're all the same. Actually, my neurologist pushed me to get the shot because, like the medicine I take for my MS, it decreases my immune system to decrease the MS attacking me. So my immune system is weakened. So he wanted a booster so my immune system can go and make more antibodies. And that's why they wanted the immunocompromised to get the booster first, because our immune systems couldn't build up that army as fast or as rambunctious as a person with a normal immune system. So that's why they allow people who take, like people who have cancer, people who take any drugs that affect their immune systems, like some of the irritable bowel disease meds, rheumatoid meds, MS, people maybe with HIV or things like that, immune system problems. So they wanted us to get the vaccine so we can help fight it off more effectively. And then they realized that after 8 months that your antibodies start to decrease. So now they're going to allow the booster so you can fight off the virus.
Has it been stated how long that booster lasts? If the original shot is about 8 months, or
They haven't said, but from what I've heard from Fauci, we'll probably just be doing an annual, just like the flu shot. It'll probably be an annual shot forever, because it's going to become part of our natural environment. They're not going to be able to eradicate it like they did polio, because everyone has to take it for it to go away. And I think like certain parts of Africa, they're only like at 2% vaccination, and some of the poorer countries. Mm-hmm. So we have to vaccinate the earth because we're a global society. You know, someone may get on a plane from Africa, fly into America. You know, we haven't closed our borders. So we vaccinate everyone here. Someone flies in from another country, possibly with another variant, like what happened with the Delta variant, flew in from a different country and then it spreads here. So, you know, we have to vaccinate the earth. And they say that may take years to do that.
So your final message on COVID, then we're going to move to the feet, diabetic shoes and things that are available at...
Well, I just think that, you know, read, go to the CDC site, you know, go to legitimate sites, stay off social media. You know, that is not, as we used to call back in the day, your dictionary. You need to go to who makes these drugs, the FDA, the CDC. You need to research for yourself and read, not secondhand knowledge and a post that they screenshotted from somewhere, and read for yourself and understand for yourself. I mean, this is something that's not going away. It's not, you know, they were talking about the mark of the beast was on the vaccine. I'm like, have you even seen the bottle? A patient told me that. I said, you saw the bottle? Did you see the numbers? I mean, but still, the mark, you know, now you talk about the mark of the beast. Hell, the devil's at dollar store. They're everywhere. There's demons in your church. So, you know, you got to decide, you know, do you want to take a risk of not taking it or take a risk of taking it? To live or take that risk of dying?
Well, hopefully everyone will make the decision that's best for them and their families, and continue to look out for themselves and each other.
Hopefully, but you know, I mean, I can't beg. All I can do is give you the information, and like, it's your choice. Everything's your choice.
So what's going on in the world of feet?
Well, I did talk earlier about the Diabetic Shoe program, which is now part of, we're offering it in the practice. So the major points for the Diabetic Shoe program: you must first be diabetic. We have patients come all the time.
You cannot diagnose yourself, Dr.
No, you have to be currently being treated by a primary care physician or a nurse practitioner on medication for diabetes, because we can order I can prescribe the shoes and evaluate you for the shoes, but if you do not have the diagnosis of diabetes, you cannot get the shoes. Now, in some cases, you can get orthopedic shoes, but that's for more severe deformities. So that's more for people who may have like rheumatoid and they have deformed feet, where they have severe bunions, severe hammer-toes, or you have a deformed foot. Say you're born with a congenital deformity, which means you were born at birth. Like I had a lady recently, she was born with, I think, 2 toes or 3 toes. One foot had 1 toe and the other foot had no toes. So she qualified for a custom shoe because of her deformities. But if you are not diabetic, you do not qualify for diabetic shoes unless you take diabetic medication or you're being treated for diabetes, and your primary care physician has to document and sign paperwork saying you're diabetic. Another important thing is make sure you give the podiatrist your current and active doctor's name. We've had a couple charts come back, where requests come back where the patient's telling us they go to this doctor, but they've switched So make sure you let if you want diabetic shoes, you let the medical assistants know where I'm going. So if you're going to like Five Rivers or Casanos or any of the other clinics that may change physicians, make sure you let them know your home base, which clinic you go to and which doctor you go to, because that's very important. That will hold up the time that it takes to get your shoes. So on average, it's 4 to 6 weeks, or it could be shorter depending on how fast we get your paperwork. Because if we order the shoes, it usually takes 2 to 3 days to get the shoes in. You have to come back in, be fitted with the shoes, and then they're dispensed. And then you get another pair of shoes a year later, not a year. Like say you get it in June, you can get it in January. No, it'd be a year to year, 365 days later.
Exactly?
Or over.
Or over.
But it can't be under because they won't pay for them.
So what's the benefit of wearing diabetic shoes?
They're wider, deeper. They have no seams on the inside of the shoes. The sole is thicker. So if you was to step on a nail or tack, it wouldn't pierce the skin. So that's why I always tell patients to wear house shoes or sandals in their house. I actually sell sandals and flip-flops for $20 that have orthotics built in them. And they're real comfortable. My staff loves them. Patients love them. And they're really nice because they have orthotics built into them. So it gives you some support and you can putt around and be safe and your feet won't hurt.
Mm-hmm. What are some of the foods, can we talk about that a little bit, Dr. Richmond, that diabetics should eat, and what are some of the foods that diabetics should stay away from? And this would be helpful, of course, for those that are on the borderline or just not eating as healthy as they would like to.
I always tell patients to cut out everything white in your diet and switch it to brown. So that's anything made with flour. So you want to go to whole wheat everything. Whole wheat, rice, pasta, bread. Then you want to, like I tell people, start trying sweet potatoes over white potatoes. You can cook sweet potatoes the same way you cook white potatoes, and they taste good because you get that sweet, salty taste, and it's really good.
Sounds like you've got some recipes.
Well, I'm from Louisiana, so I put a little slap your mama on it, and a little onion, garlic, bell pepper. But it tastes good because you get a sweet, salty taste, and the sweet potatoes don't raise your sugar as fast as white potatoes, so it doesn't raise your sugar. So then when you eat, you always want to have your protein, your vegetable, your carbohydrate should be your smallest thing on your plate. So say you have baked chicken, and then you'll have some greens, and then if you wanted some mashed potatoes, it'd be a smaller serving. Because you have to remember, potatoes, rice, pasta turn straight to sugar, and they break down quick. So they raise your sugar up quickly. So you want to eat more of your proteins and your vegetables because they don't raise your sugar. So when you look at your plate, you want more meat, more vegetables, and less carbs. And then you can't cluster your carbs. So you can't say have some cornbread, then some mashed potatoes, then macaroni and cheese. One carb. And then maybe if you want those, you split it up between your other meals. And then as far as sweets, pretty much everything, because I'm diabetic, we can eat. We can get it sugar-free. So if you're, like now, we're in the summer months. If you go to the big box grocery store, they have a whole section of everything sugar-free. Sugar-free chocolate, sugar-free ice cream. I mean, everything, you can get it sugar-free. And if you go on the candy aisle, you can get any sugar-free chocolate you want. But it is something you have to conscientiously do. Like when you look at drinks, you have to look at the carbs and see, is it 0 carbs? Because lots of times they'll say low sugar, but it's still sugar. Mm-hmm. And as diabetics, the only time we get sugar is when we're low. So if you ain't on insulin, you really don't get to drink things with sugar unless your sugar is dropping. Because lots of patients will, I want some orange juice. Well, you can't have it unless your sugar's dropping. Then you can have all the orange juice you want.
So if you're diabetic, that's one of the juices you should stay away from.
Well, you should stay away from all juices because all juice has sugar. So you should be drinking more of the sugar-free teas, the flavored waters that are sugar-free, even Diet Coke. I'd rather you have Diet Coke than Coke. Because Coke, if you look on the back of that and see how many carbohydrates, grams of sugars in a
And a lot of
Coke.
soft drinks.
Oh, all soft drinks, if they're not sugar-free, are full of sugar. But like I tell diabetics, that's when you drink that is when your sugar's dropping because you need to get it up. But that's not something you need to drink every day. And I actually had a friend of the family, and I told him years ago he was drinking 2 liters of Coke a day.
Wow.
Now he's in a nursing home with a stroke and can't talk. And I told him that years ago, you got to stop drinking all that Coke. I mean, he was chugging, 2 liters a day. You cannot drink that much sugar being a diabetic. And it's just something you conscientiously have to do. I actually have cookbooks in my office. I just found a cookbook for
While you're here.
and live and not go blind, not go on dialysis, have a heart attack, stroke, or get your legs cut off.
So we talked about the food, Dr. Richmond. What about the drinks? We had talked a little bit about juices, but what should be the go-to drink for most of us? We know obviously water. But when you're diabetic, what should be the juices or drinks you should stay away from?
Anything with sugar. So you got to learn how to read labels. And the easiest one is you're looking at the sugar content. So you want to see 0 because we don't need sugar. As a diabetic, our problem is sugar. We don't process sugar well, so our sugars stay high. Therefore, you don't need to drink sugar unless you're on insulin and your sugar's dropping. Then you can drink as much as you want because it's always better to be sweet than sour. Because you can live at 1,000, but you'll die at 30, go into a coma, probably won't wake up. But unless your sugar is low, no, you can't have any juice.
That almost rhymes,
Yeah. So unless your sugar is low, no juice. No.
I think they got that.
Yeah, so low is like 70 and below. Low ain't 200. Low ain't 150. Low is 70 and below. Because what happens to diabetics is our hypothalamus, which is part of the brain that controls our body, if you consistently run in the 200s, 300s, and say you take insulin and drop to like 150, your body responds like your sugar is dropping, but it's not because your body's used to being high. So you still need to check your sugar and see, because you just have to kind of go through that feeling, and then you have to get back to your normal. Mm-hmm. But just because you don't feel good, don't run out and just chug some orange juice. Stick your finger, or most now people, we have all these devices, our mobile devices we wear on us 24/7. You can check your sugar now with your phone. I mean, it's technology is something now.
It is unique, and the new developments of the phones and what all that you can do with it. It is pretty amazing. So in your office, Dr. Richmond, you have some things that people can take advantage of with the foot spa. Can you tell us about that?
So we have a foot spa. It is diabetic friendly. It is not covered by insurance. It's $20 a service. If you are a patient on your birthday, you can get 1/2 off. That's your birthday month. Birthday month. Not 6 months after your birthday. Your birthday month. We do have a 3 for $30 special where you can buy 3 up front for $30, and we are also on Groupon. So the foot spa consists of you're in a private room with music, lights, and a massage chair, and it's done by a medical assistant. You get scrubbed with a pumice stone scrub, lotion, massage, misted with essential oils. And then most patients do that in conjunction with a visit or me or the other podiatrist. And we'll come in after that and do your nails and calluses or just see you for a regular visit. So if you wanted to do the foot spa, I would at least give yourself an hour to 2 hour time, especially with the travel times and everything. So especially if you're coming and you're traveling and you're coming by travel, always give yourself, I would say, a 2 hour window, because we're going into a super busy season. People are coming back that haven't seen me since 2019, 2020. And then we're constantly getting new patients. And then sometimes there's emergencies. So always give yourself at least a 2 hour window, no matter what, because I don't know what may happen. I may have a patient walk in with gangrene. I got to get them admitted to the hospital. So you never know in my practice how fast or how don't because I had a patient, I think I told you a story years ago.
The book the flight?
Yeah, booked a flight. And he was a new patient. I think his appointment was like for 10 and his flight was like 11 or 12. And when I walked in, I told him, oh, you might as well just go to the airport. Because I give myself 2 hours on flights. And he was mad. I'm like, how you thought you was going to get in and see me before you took off for a flight?
Maybe he thought, Dr. Richmond, I don't know. He can get in and see you in 15 minutes.
Well, this is not Burger King. You can't have it your way. Plus, we're thorough. I mean, a lot of people don't understand. I'm a foot doctor, but the foot is attached to the body. So I need all your history because a lot of patients don't understand. When they tell me they swell, I always ask a question. What's wrong with your kidney, heart, or liver? Well, they're like, well, I'm in heart failure. Well, that's why you smell.
Now, when you say they swell, is that their feet?
Their feet are swell. Everything's swelling. And I'm like, well, what's wrong with you? Is your heart, your kidney, or your liver? And they're like, oh, I'm on dialysis. Well, that's why you're swelling. Oh, well, I'm in heart failure. That's why you're swelling. Oh, I'm in liver failure. That's why you're swelling. So I need to know your history so I can understand how I can treat you, because if you're in heart failure, I can't necessarily put you in compression stockings because I'm going to push all that fluid up to your heart, which is in failure. It can't pump it out. So it changes my treatment plan. So that's why we're so thorough, because I need to know how your kidneys are functioning, how your liver's functioning, because if you ask me for a medication, I need to know if you're in kidney failure, because a lot of the medications I write are cleared by your kidneys. So then I need to tell you, well, you need to talk to your nephrologist. They got to renally adjust your meds, because if I give you too much of this drug, it could kill you, because you could go toxic, because your kidneys don't work. So that's why it's not a quick appointment, because I have to know all this. So the staff has to work you up, and then you may need x-rays, or you may need a ABI, a blood flow study. So it's all kind of things. It's not a one and done kind of visit. We're very thorough.
Let's talk a little bit about your hours, and if there are those that are going to be new patients, what's that process like? So
our hours are about 8:30 to 5. New process for new patients. Number 1, bring your ID. Let me say that one more again. One more again. Bring your ID. I don't care if it's expired. We have to have some proof of identification. Bus pass, library pass, something with a picture ID. And the reason we have to have that is because of insurance fraud. Because people still steal other people's insurance. And if we're ever audited by the insurance company and we do not have a picture ID on file, they can ask for all their money back. So first thing you have to have is your ID. Second thing is your insurance card. If you do not have an insurance card yet, please call your insurance company and get your ID number. Otherwise, it may take you an extra hour just to get to the back, because we have to call before you are seen and verify your insurance. You will not be seen if you do not have your ID, and sometimes not if you do not have your insurance cards. We can look it up, but we have to have your ID. That's the number one thing, because we have to be able to verify you. And then if you can, bring a list of your medications. When you check in, we give you a tablet, and you have to, you can mark off medications that you're no longer taking or taking. Give yourself at least a 2-hour window if you are a new patient, at least a 2-hour window. Do not schedule yourself at 9 o'clock and then at 10 o'clock, you're like, I got another appointment, because you may or may not make it. So at least give yourself 2 hours. But the number one thing, bring your ID and insurance card, because that will take the longest.
Some type of photo ID.
Some kind of photo ID. Even if you are 102, I need an ID. Even if it's expired, yellow, crusty, We need that ID to prove your identity.
Gotcha. And your website, phone number?
Richfeet.org. If you are an existing patient, you can schedule yourself online. You go to Request an Appointment tab and you can see all the open slots. If you are a new patient, you must call in because we have to give you enough time to be seen, because we've had new patients schedule themselves as follow-ups at 4 o'clock. Sometimes you're seen, sometimes you're not. Depends on if I have somewhere to go or, but our last new patient of the day, most days is 3 o'clock. The phone number is 937-228-3668. We do have a new software that attaches to the website, Clara. If you go on the site, you can text, and you'll get a response back through text through the website. And email richfeet1, the number 1 at gmail.com.
And what's the best form of communication for you? You prefer email? You prefer calling the office?
Email.
Mm-hmm.
Email, or you can text through the website. It's now a little box. If you go to richfeet.org, you can text directly through that box, and it comes to us through email. And then we can respond back, and you'll get a text.
Okay. Dr. Richmond, it seems every month we go through this, and it goes so extremely fast. We know that it's an hour, but we want to remind the listeners that you will be back on the 4th Saturday of the month, and these days and weeks seem to go by so fast. But you'll be back with us on Saturday, September the 25th. That is the last Saturday, the 4th Saturday of the month, and we'll talk more and have any new developments and updates on what's new with COVID-19 and the vaccines and even the booster by then.
Yeah, the booster will be out by then.
Awesome. And is that something, by the way, that you're going to be offering at your office?
It'll probably be offered on the medical side. I'm pretty sure they'll be offering it. Okay. But I think most urgent cares, ERs, I wouldn't go to ER, probably more urgent care, primary care, and pharmacies will probably be offering it. But I know the urgent care on Main Street, Salem, next to the old Burlington, will be offering it, and the urgent care at St. Elizabeth will be offering it, as well as most of your primary care doctors should be offering it.
Awesome. Dr. Richmond, we appreciate you. We thank you for joining us each and every 4th Saturday of the month. And before we leave, I want to give you the opportunity to give us some closing comments.
Take care of your feet. You only have 2. And if you don't get the needle, you may have to get other needles. So think about it. Be safe. And if you talk to strangers, wear a mask.
Wear a mask. Thank you, Dr. Richmond. I appreciate you so much. Dr. Tanisha Richmond is our local